many of us have an opportunity to really recommit and vow to make this life the most meaningful, and not in a way of pressure or beating yourself up, but in a way of truly devoting yourself to cultivating self-love, finding out what it is that you were created to do. What do you love? What did you love as a child? What is unique to you, or what is something that you love? And really devoting this self-love to yourself and understanding that when you do that, that ripples out. It ripples out into your partners, your children, your community, just the creation and in the energetic of life. We have an opportunity to almost in honor to those who chose this transition point, and that's my perspective.
Welcome back to the Yogi Triathlete Podcast. I'm Jess, your host, and right by my side is my soulmate, my coach, my training partner, and business partner, BJ. We are the honored stewards of the force that is Yogi Triathlete, and we are on a mission to create a better world. Through many brave moments, we have continued to create momentum and awareness of the performance benefits of living a mindful life and incorporating meditation as a non-negotiable for endurance training. We are living what we teach every day. And although we've had some of our most terrifying moments on this path, meditation and mindful living is always there to remind us that there is nothing to fear and that our greatest expression, every answer we could ever need, and the key to joy in this life is already within us. You guys, this earth is a school, and Yogi Triathlete exists to assist the athletes who are ready to unlock their greatness and be at the head of their class on and off the race course. The YTP has been bringing meaningful conversations to the endurance sports world for over 4 years. And what many of you may not know is that the first spark was lit on a cold November day as BJ and I drove to Western Massachusetts for a yoga retreat in celebration of our anniversary. It was on that ride that BJ introduced me to our guest today. He had recently finished reading a book about a guy who transformed his life through a plant-based diet and went on to become an Ultraman athlete. At the time, this gentleman had recently launched a podcast. The man I speak of is Rich Roll, but it was the voice and the words of his wife, Julie, who BJ could not wait to bring into my awareness. He knew that she would speak to my soul, and he was right. I was captivated and inspired by her to speak more of the truth that has moved through me my entire life. And it was on that ride that I realized I was being drawn closer to getting behind a microphone. And I knew that once I did, Julie would absolutely need to be on the other end at one point. Although we've never met in the physical, I have met her energetically many times, and I can say that Julie Piatt, also known as her spiritual name Srimati, is nothing less than a gift on this earth. She is a woman, a divine warrior, a mother, a wife, and a powerful soul expressing love, compassion, and truth through her human experience. She is the example of someone who follows the breadcrumbs of life and shows up to whatever comes her way because she knows that every bend in the path, every circumstance of life, no matter the challenge, is for our highest opportunity to expand. By all standards, a healthy adult, Julie developed a golf ball-sized cyst in her neck, which she chose to heal on her own, even though every doctor said it was incurable without surgery. A pivotal, and I would assume very empowering experience in her life, unlocked a new level of understanding that food is medicine. I would say it was a divine unfolding to strengthen her resolve in the unknown, the place where so much of her purpose has been found. Expressing herself as a singer-songwriter, homeschooling her children, being a pioneer of the unschooling movement, becoming a plant-based chef, author of 3 best-selling cookbooks, and so much more, all born from the great unknown. Julie is the host of For the Life of Me podcast and founder of SriMu, whose sacred mission is to connect us with why eating plant-based cheese is the higher path for the body, our animals, and our planet. Julie allows life to unfold because she trusts that life loves her and there are many forces working on her behalf. She encourages us all to spend time going inside each day, whether that is gazing into our eyes in the mirror, sitting in meditation, or making space for devotional practice in our lives. She knows that what she is connected to is no different than what is available and waiting for each one of us. The knowing I received on that cold November day was inclusive of the understanding that when time and circumstance presented, I would know when to reach out and invite Julie to be on the show. That moment happened a few months ago, and today, on World Meditation Day, I am honored to welcome this divine being to the YTP. Julie Piatt, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my goodness, Jess, what a beautiful, beautiful intro. I'm so touched. Thank you so much. I remember you as a collective Yogi Tri, and I remember just comments on social media. Like I knew you guys were there. As much as we feel that social media is such a barrier to connection in so many ways, I really felt your presence in those very early, tender moments when Rich and I were forging our path. So it's truly an honor to be with you and share the space. As my friend Guru Singh says, it takes one to know one. So blessings and namaste to you both.
Oh, thank you so much. And in honor of World Meditation Day and this totally tapped in community that we are sharing with you through Yogi Triathlete, we were wondering if you would lead us in just a few moments of meditation to assist those in tapping into this miraculous source that's within us.
Yes, I'd be honored. So if we can all, wherever you are, if you're not driving, let's go ahead and go into a meditative state, or riding your bike or swimming. If you can find stillness, let's go ahead and find physical stillness. If you're in the middle of your process, let's drop into the witness consciousness where you can observe this practice. And so as we bring all of our awareness into the present moment, we want to use our will to gather all of our attention into the place in your heart where you first feel. It's that inkling, the first portal of emotion or feeling or meaning or connection. And let's go ahead and start to connect with our breath with intention. Let's use our will to coalesce all of our awareness into this single point of focus. And as you start to connect with your body, as it's breathing long, deep, fluid inhales, followed by long, deep, fluid exhales. Feel yourself start to relax. Go ahead and let your belly release and find your body firm and present, yet completely fluid and relaxed. And as the body is breathing long, deep, fluid inhales, as you get to the top of that inhaling breath, let's pause for just a moment and then let's exhale, letting all the breath release out. At the base of the exhale, let's pull our bladder into our spine and take another pause. And then again, inhaling. Long, deep, fluid inhale, pausing at the top, and long, deep, fluid exhale, releasing all the breath out, drawing the belly into the spine and pausing. And now continuing to breathe like that, I want you to change your awareness of focus. And so rather than drawing prana or breath or life force in from just your nose and your mouth, I want you to shift the awareness and start to experience your whole body breathing. You are drawing in prana or life force from the whole body. Whole body is breathing. You are drawing in life force from your entire life energetic form. So suddenly you're drawing in life force from an entire organism, like you are your own self-sustainable ecosystem, and you are drawing in life force from your back, your spine, your hamstrings, your calves, your feet, your thighs, your belly, your chest, your face, your arms, your hands, your eyeballs, your teeth, the crown of your head. Whole body is breathing. Whole body is connected to the ecosystem. Whole body is experiencing a total connection. And so breathe in this space for just a few more moments and experience the expansion in the energetic field with a simple shift of awareness and intention to take in life force from the whole body. Breath is not just air, it is prana or life force. And so, with this whole body breathing meditation, as athletes and as human beings, we can gather energetic support, connection, amplification, power, vital energy, and expansion from this experience. So, feeling your body expanded, alive, vital, and free. Start to bring your awareness back into that heart space where we first felt the inkling of emotion. And then, as you're ready, you can gently return into this space, opening your eyes. Or if you're training or swimming or riding, you can add a leg onto your journey.
Thank you. Maybe we should just do that for the whole hour.
Wouldn't that be good?
That would be a way to trap them, wouldn't it?
I'm glad you asked me that, though. It was just, you asked me that just very spontaneously, but it's in my yoga practice. This whole body breathing awareness is when I'm teaching yoga, I'm always cueing to whole body breathing. And if you've been on retreat with me, everybody starts chanting, I know whole body breathing because I say it a lot. But as athletes and as people who want to empower their bodies to be vitally healthy, and connected. It's as if you ask somebody, well, visualize yourself, most people will just visualize their head. So as we start to activate consciousness as the gaze of divine intelligence, as the awareness of consciousness as you, it's almost like you bring the light into all aspects of your being. And so for athletes, it's a very powerful practice of activating all of you so that you can perform or experience your race or training at a very high level.
And that's exactly what our mission is. And that's how we feel that this mission will create a better world, because we've got more people living from the present moment, more people living from this connection, that we are complete and whole. We are loving, compassionate, powerful beings here on this earth for a purpose, and that it far exceeds the finish line. Yet, and I've been so guilty of it, we get caught up in the data and the information, and we forget that who we are and what we are capable of is so much more than what is read on our watch.
Definitely. And what I would say, being a completely different life form than one of an athlete, and one that I've always spoken to Rich about, which is, he's not experiencing this at this place. But I think the next step of immersing oneself in this physical activity is to literally do it for the love of it, like for the sheer, pure love. And so there's all kinds of things that can be experienced in a training. But really, I guess probably a lot of athletes listen to podcasts, which is great because they know about you guys and they know about Rich Roll. And I feel like there's another possibility of activating the talk to your physical mechanism, right? The sacred technology for your spirit. So most of us have this automatic negative self-talk. It's like, we're like, well, you're okay. You're pretty okay, but I wish, I've always wanted blue eyes, or I've always wished my thighs were stronger or thinner. And we have this very kind of shitty conversation with our physical body all day long. And I always use this example, like if you and I were having lunch and we'd never met each other in person, and you sat down in front of me and said, well, you're pretty okay, but I just want to tell you that I wish your eyes were a different color. I would probably not see you again after that. That wouldn't be like a really kind thing, right? You would kind of say, well, why are you talking to me this way? And so recently, a very dear friend of mine's, an old friend of mine's brother, had a massive heart attack last week. Thankfully, he did not die, and he can walk and he can eat, but he can't speak. And so I was doing a session with him over Zoom. He's in another country. And I was activating his awareness that he can talk to his brain. He can ask his brain to repair certain parts of the brain that are not functioning. But I think it's something we miss, is that our body is a living intelligence, and we can choose to speak to it as our most cherished friend or family member or loved one, or we can brutalize it through looping self-talk. But I think it's an important thing, and especially now during these profound times, where vital energy, health, vitality is something I think we're more focused on, that just experimenting with telling your body how much you love her or him, and just just do it for 5 minutes and then just see how you feel. And then maybe contrast it and speak to the way you always speak to it and just compare those two experiences. And you can see that, thoughts are things, and energetic patterning does affect, meaning thoughts and looping and these type of things. It does affect the way you feel, the way your body performs. And so, also, like, I've been living a very Ayurvedic experience during this quarantine. And the beauty of quarantine is that it is an imposed Ayurveda, which Ayurveda is the Eastern Indian science of medicine. And you mentioned my experience clearing this cyst in my neck. And that was through the use of Ayurveda. And part of Ayurveda is living a present life. And so you don't overschedule your life. You have times when you wake up and you pray and you do mantra, and times when you practice yoga. And then you have times when you work or eat or commune. And then you have time when you go to bed. And this awareness of Ayurveda it's the awareness that is the big gift. And the big gift of this quarantine is the time to actually know what is going on in your body, to have the time to have the awareness to say, oh, I feel a slight constriction in the top of my head. I didn't drink enough water. Let me go have water. Or I'm quite tired right now. I'm going to go take a nap. you know, these are such basic things of life, but in a modern life, we don't allow for any of it. And when I had this cyst in my neck, and my Ayurvedic physician, he said to me, how much stress do you have in your life? And I gave him this answer about how creative I was. As I'm always inventing something or creating something. And he didn't take my answer. He didn't buy it. He just said, you don't invite unwanted guests into your home. Sometimes they arrive and you have to deal with them, but you don't start planning your life from a point of depletion. And his comment to me was quite strong. And he said, because I was dealing with certain business people at the time, I was doing some interior design and had clients and was working every weekend and night and anytime they called. And he said, how many of those clients do you think are going to be in your hospital room when you get cancer? And suddenly I was like, none of them. And he was like, exactly. So where are your priorities? So I think I went off on a tangent, but that is something that is very, very sacred and precious about this quarantine.
Yeah, it's really opportunity. And I like that you phrased it like that, and bringing it into our athletes who this is the perfect time to grow. This is the perfect time when there aren't any races. There's uncertainty. And are you going to embrace this time to do exactly as you mentioned? Are you going to feel into your body? You're going to step away from those 5-hour workouts and maybe do an hour and then be with yourself during that extra time. And what we found is it's extremely challenging because it's questioning at the root why they're doing what they're doing. And a lot of them don't have the answer. They don't.
I mean, definitely. And I would say, I mean, I think that most athletes do not stretch enough. That it's always the yoga that's the last priority, or and then it's like, oh, my back's killing me, or my hamstrings are like lead, or whatever that is. So, and I think it's this thing of running away from yourself also. What is the directive of your training? Are you running away from yourself, or are you running to drop in? Could be either. This addiction to a constant motion, I think, creates an opportunity for someone to suddenly sit with maybe there's some trauma, some emotional trauma, or something that needs to be looked at, that needs to be cleared out of your system. And you can't run everything out of your system or train everything out. Like, there is an emotional component that begs to be resolved or faced or transformed.
Yeah, and I love that. And something that I've heard you say before is like, running is not a meditation. And I 100% agree with that. It can be a meditative movement, but I wouldn't consider it meditation. Can you expand on the perspective of that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, I think everybody's different, and I know why I said that, and I still would say that, but in my case, I'm not an athlete, but let me bring it back to me so that I can personalize it, and that is, I read a lot of books, a lot of spiritual texts that would say meditate. And then I'd go read another book and I go, look, it says meditate right there. Meditation's there. Let me go read another book. So it's like, in the beginning, when we're young and we're trying to find that which we're seeking, it's like, in a way, we're running away from ourselves. And it's usually in the times of trauma or enforced quarantine. It's like, every once in a while I think to myself, well, this is global, and it just takes my breath away, because it's such a planetary state right now, and that's just an amazing occurrence. But again, it's like, nothing takes the place of actually going into meditation now. And there's different types of meditation. So there's certain practices that have, like, the visualization that I just did. That's actually one type of meditation. But if we went deeper, we might drop out of that visualization and drop into emptiness. Or another meditative technique would be sitting in awareness and allowing all things with no technique. So there's there's thousands of techniques that lead you to meditation. And some people have very active minds, and so they're never going to be able to just drop into stillness. But I guess what I would say is that, yeah, running is not meditation, and neither is reading about meditation is not meditation. So, so let's just, yeah, and that may be conducive to your life design. It may be a little bit more difficult, for you. So, I have this great celebration of diversity, and I don't think anybody has the one thing, but I will say that if you can find a way to drop into nothingness, some space, it's in that void, which is really full. It's actually not empty at all. It's fullness, but there's nothing for you to do in that space except be. And in the beingness, you are rejuvenated and filled. You are filled. And it's a refuge. It's a place of rejuvenation, nourishment. The one thing you didn't mention in your amazing intro of me is my Water Tiger spiritual community. I have a community online, and I named it Water Tiger because the purpose of it is to provide techniques that allow people to connect with the remembrance of who they are, honoring diversity. So there's no program or protocol or journey. It's all about these tools to allow you to remember your being. And in that, yesterday, we have a monthly call, and I was sharing on the call that now at this time of so much uncertainty, the things that we thought were secure in our modern world are being revealed to not be what we thought they were. We can't seem to get a consensus, which I would say there is no consensus in creation. So, there's just a bunch of different perspectives. But at least within that, again, you must become your own authority. That is your truth. And so your life is about you and you. And so this is why the meditation practice is so important right now. Not so that you can believe what some lineage says is the way, or you can believe this politician or this doctor, or not any of that, so that you can feel yourself, so that you can really be connected, and then you will be guided into what is true for you. And that's why, as warriors, spiritual warriors, and I would say that's all of us that are alive in a body right now during this timeline, that we take this opportunity and understand that this is the work. And, I was sharing, it's easy to love, your lover or your partner or someone that you like a lot. It's a mission to love the unlovable, you know? And so this is we can either serve fear or serve love. And so how do we broaden our capacity? We broaden our capacity by caring for our own life form. Because when we care for our own life form as a sacred technology and a divine, cherished, valued, needed spirit and consciousness, then we have a greater capacity to share with animals, plants, the earth, and each other.
I'm so glad you mentioned water tiger because it was something that I wanted to put in the intro and I forgot. So thank you for filling in that void. And I encourage everyone to go check that out. You can get to it through your website, right?
Yeah, it's juliepiatt.com, and that has everything on it. Yeah.
I love what you touched upon there about like going and intending to, our own form here first. And you are a mother. And we have a lot of mothers that listen to this show that are also athletes, that are also wives, that are the head of the household. And there's a lot to balance there. And so for a mother, an athlete, a mother, a wife, a business person, whatever it may be, even we can even be talking about men here, is this idea of caring for ourselves first so that we can be available for others. Like how does someone begin to even make sense of that when their household needs them? How can they take time for themselves?
Yeah, I meant accept mothers. No, I'm kidding. So,
your mothers are screwed.
I'm kidding. Accept mothers is what I meant. No. Okay. So I think this is really, really important. And I think that we need to understand. Now, first of all, if anybody knows me, I'm a mother if I'm anything. Like I'm mother, 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 mother. And my kids are my greatest gurus. And I do not live or experience life through my children. Okay. So that's a very different. I'm an artist. I do a lot of things. I, work on myself a lot. But I have very strong mother energy, and not only for my own kids, but for many other people come to me and they have that experience with my offerings. But what I would offer is I would say that we have this spiritual, I think it's an implant of control that taught us that being spiritual means sacrificing yourself. And so it was a worthy trait, and especially with women, to lay your life down for your family, your lover, a cause. It was sort of like, well, you're better able to handle it so you can hold some of the suffering for those around you. And I have experienced this in my life a lot. And I think where my journey led me was to understand that actually your children are waiting for you to claim yourself. Your children are waiting for you to love yourself so profoundly, because in this act you free them. It's almost like you choosing yourself is actually giving them wings or expanding them. And it also gives you the capacity to actually really love from an unconditional, compassionate stance. Because when we're being Lakshmi and we're doing everything and we're taking on all the responsibilities in life and not nurturing ourselves as our most cherished and beloved life form, we are not able to love in an expanded compassion. We might be able to love at a certain human level where we're doing okay, but it's not really that deep. And what we have to understand is that every single relationship, event, experience, children included, lovers, every single thing will fall away. And so what I see and experience is maybe women or people who have devoted their lives to other people. And then the kids grow up, they leave, the relationship dissolves, and the person is like, what do you mean I sacrificed my entire life for all of you, right? And that's a choice of experience. And I don't feel like that is really the highest, most expanded way for us to be alive, because each one of us, we took a body to realize a very unique mission. So there's not another of all these mothers or these caregivers, there's not another one of them in the entire multiverse, omniverse. And so their purpose isn't to martyr themselves. And one thing that I realized, which was a very hard awareness, it took a while, is that I used to feel that loyalty was a very great quality, like very altruistic, like loyal, like I'm loyal. And then as I gazed into that more deeply in meditation, I discovered that the other side of loyalty is martyrdom. And I would have fought back against that because I would have said, I'm not a martyr. Like I don't expect other people to do what I want to do. I handle my stuff, you know. It's not passive aggressive, but it's like I can handle more pain than you, so let me do it. That's a martyr. So my point is that, and this is water tiger, and it's probably very curious to some people, because my whole thing is that you have to discover who you are and then you express that very purely. And so for me in my life form, I'm here to create beauty. So I create beauty in images and food and fashion and music and environments and life and community, these kind of things. And so rather than judge myself or say, well, if you were really spiritual, you would be wearing a robe and you would shave your head, right? So I went through that. I went through that exploration. I didn't shave my head, but I considered. But as I gaze more deeply into that experience, that is also an outfit. It's also just a flavor of life. It's a choice. And so I started to, rather than look at what I felt was lacking in my life, and I started to look at my design as divine. So then I was like, oh, I like creating beauty. I like clothes. I like environments. That's part of my divine design. And so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to celebrate it and honor it. And that's my portal. So, you said in the intro that I love myself. And that feels very beautiful to me that you said that. And maybe 10 years ago, I would have felt embarrassed that you said that, or I would have, it's like, I mean, don't we all just need to love ourselves? I mean, if we all loved ourselves, wouldn't we create a beautiful world?
Yeah.
So anyway, so that, that's a reflection on that.
And speaking personally, like I know what it feels like to hate myself. I know what it feels like to be in those negative loops. And why is it so against the grain to choose this love? Like, what is this programming that we have that is telling us we're not good enough? We can always do better, be better, look better, feel better. And it's holding us back from this ability to love because we're stuck behind all of these shoulds. I
Mhm.
should be doing this, or I should be doing that. I should be a better mother. I should be, walking the kids to the bus stop. I don't know. But what is your breakdown of this programming? And I don't mean that as a conspiracy theory. I mean it because I really believe that this earth that we came into is kind of a shit show, right? It's very much, as soon as we come out of that womb, we're labeled, we're in a birth order where we have all of this identity that's put on us. And I think over time, if we don't wake up from that, it really locks down our limits to be able to love ourselves or even find out what we love.
Yeah, that's a really, really profound question and query, and one that we should, it would be helpful for us to really look into that. So I'm not very good with facts and figures, and I'm not like a history buff or anything like that, but I'll just say generally that I would say it's a few things. I would say, first of all, that it is a intentional program of removing the feminine power from her spiritual place as a leader and as a way shower, a guide, a counsel, a worthy leader that has the ability for compassion and community. So the entire society removed that. It was on purpose, which is why the churches then removed the feminine from their stories or whatever. And this is a planetary agenda, right? So we have to understand that we haven't even experienced what it is to be a divine feminine because it's never existed, but we're doing it now. We're doing it now.
And that goes
The
for
other thing,
men too, like men to embody this.
exactly. That's really good that you said that. So yes, everyone has both masculine and feminine within them. And it's not about women then acting masculine. That's also not it. Like mothers are just, they have a grand capacity, like a vast capacity. It's just this amazing ability to lead, to be a woman. And when we have to ask ourselves, when were we told that women need to be pleasing, non-confrontational, pleasant, peacemakers, feminine? We were told that women had to be like that, but Mother Earth is all of it. She's beautiful. She's sublime. She's magnificent. She's soft. She's fierce. She's unrelenting. So it's like being a full feminine energy is not just all one soft way, so this is what we're stepping into. So sometimes mama has to say no, and mom, like enough, but that's a place that's very uncomfortable to be in. And I think one of the things that I'm cultivating in my life is to be able to say no in love, to be able to say no in love. No, that is not going to be allowed, and not open up that rage of all those thousands of years of oppression that's there, right? But just be like the mama, like the guide, like, right? So that's all one part that I think we're in a place where we are going to learn these things. And we need feminine embodied beings to be the leaders. And that doesn't mean that it's necessary. It has to do with a physical body part. It has to do with, what do you understand about leading, about being heart connected, understanding that the heart is the supreme intelligence, not the mind. The mind is a tool that's very useful, but the heart and the feeling tone in the body, you will know by the way your body feels if something is true, good, pure, fair. You'll know the way your body feels, not what you've been told in your head. And the other side of that is, you said in the intro, it's Earth School. And this is the realm where this is the best place in the cosmos to be, because this is where the action's happening right now. And the potential for evolution in this space right now is just unheard of, like unprecedented. And so the fact that we've been saying goodbye to so many of our Earth family during this time, this is also happening all the time. And in other formats, we don't even know about it or pay attention to it. But especially now around this quarantine and this virus and what's happening, at least this focus. So a lot of our human family, I think it's more than the Vietnam War, have transitioned in the US alone. And so this gives us the opportunity to really understand how privileged we are to be alive. What a privilege of life. What a blessing. I have a very dear friend of mine who has been in the hospital for 6 weeks, very close friend. I'm moving my body, I'm dancing for her. I'm so aware of the privilege. We're alive. Most of us are quarantined. We're not being bombed. There's a scale of privilege here or economic state. But many of us have an opportunity to really recommit and vow to make this life the most meaningful, and not in a way of pressure or beating yourself up, but in a way of truly devoting yourself to cultivating self-love, finding out what it is that you were created to do. What do you love? What did you love as a child? What is unique to you, or what is something that you love? And really devoting this self-love to yourself and understanding that when you do that, that ripples out. It ripples out into your partners, your children, your community, just the creation and in the energetic of life. We have an opportunity to almost in honor to those who chose this transition point, and that's my perspective, that we don't waste the life. There's much, much, much evolution to be done. All of us are different. All of us have a different thing to bring.
We need to bring it. We need to find it and we need to bring it. 100%.
Yeah, as scary and as doubtful as the mind wants to be, right? And when you get up to that point of when you find out what you love, and then you start to analyze it or microanalyze it, and all the obstacles that are in the way that are going to deter you from achieving that. And that's what we have found in our stories. And I know in you and Rich's life, like many obstacles and brick walls that were there and continually showed up. Despite those, we continue to move forward. And it's in that fear of not knowing. It's in the fear of not knowing. And in my experience, my personal experience, I sort of switched things around and took the opposite. So every time I would find myself not wanting to jump into the ocean because of sharks, or not wanting to go into work and confront a coworker because it was scary and it was uncomfortable. So this is the exact time to do that stuff. And this is what we're trying to stir up with our community you need to embrace this as the jumping off point. So if you've been telling yourself, I don't want to go back to my job, or I don't want to sit on the 5 for 2 hours to get to my to the job that I'm not really happy about. You don't have to. And so our mission to give people permission to do this is at an all-time high. And I'm finding more and more that this quarantine, this experience, although we are on the path, we're in the community of being on the path, and this warrior path, I like how you say that we need to even rise it even further. I see even more opportunity with myself. Jess was talking about changing our nightly routine on the trail, our 3-hour trail run yesterday.
It was a good time. I was like, we're on an uphill. I'm going to lay it on them now. We're changing our nightly routine. No, I said I was changing my nightly routine.
But because we're so close in this tiny studio, my routine would be disrupted. And I felt myself immediately go internal. Zip the mouth, because what you're going to say is not going to be good. And process it a little bit. So my point here is this mission that we're on, this warrior path, is never going to be done. It's you need to jump on the path and continually go, and it's going to continually show up. And to be frank, it's going to be stronger and more challenging as you go deeper. Or I guess you could look at it as it being more being in alignment with who you are. You understand that these are the steps necessary to take that. So you're one who continually shows up. Like I've felt this from you from the first time, a long time ago, I heard your voice. How do you continually notice the challenges, the fears, or the doubts, if there are any? And then how do you quickly shift to continually move forward?
Yeah. Well, I would say that I don't have a lot of fear or doubts. And I think that comes from really taking the time to know myself or to choose the life, that I want to live. And I guess I was shown through a 9-year financial collapse and dismantling, which was what I call our sacred moment, one of our sacred moments. And it's very similar to this time. The juiciness and the connection and the profound quality of this time is a ripe, fertile soil for bringing out what is latent and what wants to express inside of you. I would say that I embrace the unknown and that I'm aware of the unknown always. Even every time a loved one exits the room, I'm acutely aware of the fragility of life. It's maybe part of my human design, part of the way that I am, but I never take anything for granted. I'm never on automatic. I don't I don't live on automatic. So I've been shown that it's being present in the moment, rooted and aligned in what is true for you or your energetics or your breath or your whole body breathing, that the life becomes a meditative experience. And I could be doing a lot. I could be dancing, I could be cooking, but it's this awareness of this second attention of that life is having its way. Life is moving through. And, I have a lot of visions and intentions. I mean, I launched a plant-based cheese company, and I'm having branding meetings and look meetings and writing music right now, and, I'm doing a lot of things, but I guess ultimately, when I go to bed at night, I offer my day to the greater aspect of me, the future self of me, or the cosmic being that is the universal creator of me. And then when I get up, I dedicate my life to that force. And so it's sort of like I'm not afraid, because I'm in union with that consciousness or that greater aspect, and there's no way out of this but through. Like there is only walking through, there is only experiencing through. We're in this process. And because I'm so rooted in my faith of the cosmic picture that exists beyond this. It's not like an escape though, because even if you opt out, it's not like there's one place you go to and everything's great. It's just all different levels of life. And so I think being in a body right now at this time is a huge privilege. And if we understood the capacity for evolution, we would be freaking out just as a soul. And so because so much profound exiting is happening and we understand the fragility of life, I just think it's a really good time to really dedicate yourself to finding out who you are, to remembering who you are. It's almost as if you knew you only had 4 months to live. What would you be doing? If you only had 3 months to live, what would you be doing? If you only had 2 months to live, what would you do today? If you only had a month to live, how would you spend today? And then you can keep going, and it can help you really refine your priorities and what you're spending time doing. So, yeah. Yeah, so I just think that writing your own obituary or facing your death is the greatest portal to freedom. Because if you're not afraid to die because you understand that we are eternal life forms and the life does not end, and if you can start to grab that awareness, then it's a much bigger picture. It's a much bigger drama in a way, and you can choose with intention how you want to spend your life.
I think we move through life forgetting that this body was never meant to last, and that we all have an expiration date. Back in 2009, I was over in India and I was teaching massage to Tibetan refugees, and just learned so much from them. But one of the things that I learned from them, which I've kept with me since that time, is that every day they're living like it's their last day. That they're so aware that that their physical body will not be on this earth forever, that they live with so much intention and presence that even though they have experienced, losing everything, including their country, that they still live with such an high level of contentment and joy and selflessness and compassion. It was just,
isn't that interesting? It's amazing.
So profound. And I remember I said to them one night, we were having tea after class, and I said, what do you want me to bring back to America? Like these girls that we were teaching had walked across the Himalayas at night, in handmade boots, fearing for their lives, right? And these amazing angels that were guiding them to safety in Dharamsala. And they had, experienced things that I've never experienced growing up on Cape Cod. Like I never experienced anything like that before. And I said, what do you want me to bring back to America? And they said, we want people in your country to not persecute China for taking our country, essentially, that they were just misled and that nobody needs to be punished and that we are okay and we are happy and we are thriving and that nobody, that was the big message, was that nobody needs to be punished. And please bring back this message of compassion and love, that we need to love more. So
That's
powerful,
amazing.
like life changing.
So powerful.
Yeah. And I remember calling BJ from, some payphone in Dharamsala and saying, just keep an eye on me when I get home, that I don't get rid of everything we own, which funny enough actually ended up happening in 2015. So it was a precursor to what's to come. So, we're getting to the end of our time, but I just really want to give you a little bit of a platform here for SriMu and this amazing company that you've launched out to expand our awareness that we don't have to eat or drink the milk of a cow anymore. Thank God.
Oh, thank you for that. During my exploration of food as art and when I was creating plant-based recipes for my 3 cookbooks, I came upon the wonderful potential in plant-based cheese, and I knew that there was a whole world to discover in there. And so I spent years actually testing recipes. And I have this thing with my makeup or my design where I don't believe that I have to be technically trained in anything to do it. And in a way, I'm sort of like a child. So I don't even like to know what somebody else does. I kind of just go in my own process. And this revealed a series of cheese recipes that actually blew me away. Like I never imagined that I would be able to create cheese that was as creamy, full-bodied, cheesy, tangy, like all those flavors that we love in a plant-based cheese. I mean, I knew I could make something that was palatable or tasteful, but not something like this. And so after a lot of consideration, I had a fashion company in the late 1990s. And so I knew what it was like to be an entrepreneur and the work that it took, and just also, a lot of other aspects of business, waste and things like that. And so I took a long time before I actually made the decision to make SriMu into a food company. But I did, and I'm really glad that I did. SriMu is actually a beauty brand. It is an offering of beauty. It's got an amazing branding that was created by my friend, Brian O'Hara, who's an amazing fine artist who's written and read backwards his entire life. And so my company is called SriMu Do Life Not Cheese, and the do of Do Life means devotional offering. So the branding on SriMu is devotional offering in reverse in Brian's coding, and it's just this super gorgeous, pattern. And so SriMu is created to give people options and to welcome them in with unconditional love. And we focus on creating a beautiful life. And so creating a beautiful life means experiencing more love. So that means not harming any animals. It means loving yourself. So it's nourishing your body and cultivating this amazing frequency of vital energy in your body. And it's also loving our Mother Earth, that we are not separate from, that we are connected to. And it's delivered, though, in this beautiful offering that proves to you that you don't have to sacrifice. You don't have to go without. You can enjoy all of your favorite cheesy tastes through this product. So it's offered via a subscription service. Up until now, we have an altar box. So it's a reusable sacred altar box. You can remove the inside out and then store your teas in it, or spices, or it could actually be your meditation, your candle, your incense, a sacred cloth, maybe some essences. So it's really a sacred altar box. And we're going to be releasing some new products. So we have the Sacred Altar Box, which is 6 cheeses. It's 4 aged wheels plus 2 fresh cheeses, 1 fresh mozzarella, very wet and creamy, that's shipped in salted crystal waters. And then there's Not Your Grandma's Cheese Ball Bonfire, which is a smoky ball, super delicious. But then we also have a 3 or 4 pack where you can just get the wheels. And then we have a community pack that I've actually created to support my beloved spiritual community in Italy called Dom and Her. Dom and Her is a spiritual community that has been in existence for over 45 years. And they are the masters of community. They built temples to mankind inside a mountain in secret. And it's the largest underground temple, the most extraordinary, beautiful community effort I've ever witnessed. And SriMu actually for Europe is going to be produced in Dom and Her. So at SriMu, everyone who touches your cheese is a sacred maker, and nobody touches the cheese until we have meditated. So we do a similar breathing to the whole body breathing before we've touched the cheese. And we're just very excited, looking forward to expanding. And actually, we have been invited into Erewhon. So we're going to be going into some specialty retail in a very intentional way. But Erewhon is the best health market maybe in the world. And so we're very honored to have been invited in to co-create with them.
Such a profound story, and the way, just what we know of it from following you for these years, and to see where you are today. I mean, it makes me emotional, because as we've seen you and your husband, just rise up, through what you've so generously shared with everyone, our response to each other all the time has always been like, we're so happy for them. We're so excited to see where they are. Like, oh my gosh, she just launched a new company. Oh my gosh, she's got Water Tiger. Oh my gosh, she's got a podcast. Thank God. And I feel like you have served, as an opportunity for me to, really express my joy for the success of other people.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for that.
It's been so wonderful. And I am not going to close this podcast until my husband shares the story that he shared with me yesterday. I know he's like, damn it. I thought we were going to
escape
away
without this.
I know. He's got the most beautiful,
Here, BJ.
beautiful, divine, feminine energy.
Yeah, it's
and,
pretty
which
pretty
has,
strong.
We came together, man and woman, but I had the yang energy and he had the yin energy, and thank goodness for you, my love.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here.
I'd probably be serving multiple life sentences in a maximum security prison right now if I didn't find him in yoga. But please share that story with Julie, because I really think she'll
I had remembered
it.
My memory is not always that great, but I recall in 2015, we had moved back to Rhode Island. I was working my full-time job, which the same company for, at that point, almost, 18, 19 years. I worked right out of college, and I came to a point where we'd moved back from Boulder, back to Newport. And I was like, kind of stuck. This was 2015. And there was a time I left the office and I went to go run on the track, and just to break away from the day. And I listened to, I think I looked back because I wanted to see what it was. And I think it was podcast 141 from Rich. It was ask both of you questions. And at the end of the podcast, your song had played. And I didn't even remember the name of the song, but now I do. It's In the Sun. But I remember listening to it, and I recall now, I didn't know if it was before or after the workout, but it was certainly after, because I listened to it a few times, and your voice connected with me. So now that I've listened to it a few times in the last few days, like I understand the words, but it was your voice that really connected with me and allowed me to maybe spark something inside, that there was something more, and that the gray skies of New England and being in an office, working for a hospitality company that promoted products that I weren't aligned with, really, I think, sparked something that a year later from that moment, I was out of that job. We had sold everything and we were on the road for 6 months to move to California. But it really touched me deeply. And I've actually listened to it on the bike a few times now. And the days of listening to Green Day that really like power me through stuff, there's things like your voice, and that song that really ignite something inside that allows me to be more of who I am. And that's truly what I realized from that situation. And I acted upon it. And so we're here now, 5 years later, and we're podcasting together. And I just wanted to share with you that I thank you for taking that risk on your side to sing, and just thank you for being you.
Oh, BJ, thank you for that. It's extremely touching to me. So it's so profound. The song In the Sun is a song that I wrote for Rich during some of the most trying parts of our financial collapse. And I remember it was coming through, and I remember looking at him down the hall, and I had told him that he was supposed to train first, take care of me and the kids next. And then if a law job just dropped on his lap, he could do that. But that was it. He couldn't look for a law job. And he was tortured because we had no money, and everything was like, we'd had cars repossessed. I mean, it was a whole thing. So I just remember him suffering. And I've had this profound experience with the North Shore of Kauai. I've been taken there by other people, I believe 6 of the 8 times that I've been on the island. And it's been a very profound portal of activation for me. And, Rich started the Ritual podcast on that island on the North Shore. I started creating vegan recipes on the North Shore, like the Plant Power Way. That was all because I was in the test kitchen. We were on an island stranded, and I was just cooking, creating. But maybe I'll write about this sometime, but I've had like numerous mystical experiences on a beach on that point. And so it's a very, very sacred portal. Now, on the way back on the plane, I didn't have a chorus, and I heard the chorus, or maybe it's like a bridge. See, I don't know about song structure. I just channel whatever comes out. So it says, "Fly, daddy, fly, fly, daddy, fly." And for a minute, my brain was like, I don't know, is that cheesy? Like, what? And then I was like, just leave it. Don't edit yourself. Just like literally, it was that fast. So as we were going through financial collapse, and we started so Rich was doing his training, and that was making sense for him, which made no money. And I was creating music, which makes no sense. It makes no money, but it was flowing. And the boys and I were just deep, deep, deep in it. And so the boys we tried it a bunch of different ways. We sang that song through all those years of our family together. But they said, we feel like it's not only about Rich, but it's also about our dad. And their dad was Lou Piatt, who I was married to for 10 years, who's the father of my 2 precious boys. So, as life would have it, we finally, we had been on the Big Island. Rich had DNF'd from Ultraman. Tyler and I had walked to a music store just in Hawi, like up on the corner. And Tyler took down an ook and showed me how to play a couple things. And then we said to the store owner, do you mind if we sing? And she said no. And so we sang in the sun. And when we finished singing, we looked up and she was sobbing, like completely just sobbing. And Tyler and I walked out, and I remember he was carrying his guitar, and we were walking on the Hawaiian soil, and he kind of looked at me and I looked at him, and he was like, oh, so that was really good. Because as a musician, like, you hope that your music affects somebody, right? So he was like, okay, that was a good one, right? But what you're feeling from that song is the truth of the frequency that we were living in when that song wrote. And in the sun, to me, you and the sun are much more than you know. The sun represents the galactic sun, which is the multidimensional portal into the greatness of your being. That's what that lyric means. Later on, the boy's dad would take his transition point in a very surprising way. We were recording that album in my house, sequestered. Their dad, Lou, came by to see us. He listened in the headphones. I remember him holding the boy's hands. He left laughing. The last physical contact I had with him was his laughter in the air. And we would find out 2 days later that he had passed. When he called 911, he was at sea and called 911. He was having a heart attack. Tyler and I were recording the exact take that is on that album. And so during, Tyler said, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I had to make him black tea for us to finish we did like 3 or 4 takes. And then when we finished that last take, I said, Ty, do you want to run it again? He said, no, we got it, Mom. And then he goes, Mom, look. And I looked at the mountains and they were all washed in a beautiful pink energy. And he said, I'm going to go to bed now. He's like, I have to go lie down. It was like 3 p.m. We found out the following day that his dad had called 911 at like, just minutes before we finished the last take. And so that chorus, fly, daddy, fly, daddy, fly. So our music carried their dad out of this realm. And it's a very profound song for me. So thank you for sharing that experience. And I'm touched that you felt it and that you recognize that. So maybe you guys can include that song with this episode.
That would be amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you do that?
Absolutely.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm like,
so I can send it to you, or you can grab it off Spotify, or however that works.
Yeah, he'll figure it out.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, what a really powerful, beautiful way to end this conversation. I'm really grateful that you're in my soul group. I'm so grateful that we get to share the earth together.
Back at you guys.
Thank you so much. And hopefully this will not be the last time that we speak.
I certainly hope not. And thank you both for your amazing contribution and the energy that you're sharing, both together as a sacred couple and also with everyone in the airwaves of podcast land. And I'm just sending you guys so many blessings and visions for your wildest, most precious dreams to be realized. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
It's been a long, hard road down the line. I've lost the truest part of who I am. How much can one man take? Nothing seems to stick. I've got to find my way. the sun.